What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another webinar. What's good? What's popping? Everybody is okay. I know you're seeing some beautiful faces at the moment. Everybody looking nice, looking fresh, looking clean. Love to see it. Again, welcome to our webinar 2022. And guys, we're under the theme All Things Business Girl Boss Edition. Hence why you're seeing all of these beautiful ladies before you. And each person is bringing something special. They're bringing something to the table, and they're going to educate us, they're going to encourage us, and they're going to share a little bit about what they do, who they are, and the things that they've learned thus far. So the first panelist that I'm going to ask a question to, it's a general question. I'm going to ask somebody who's an author, a business lady, a minister, a woman of God, somebody that loves people, no other than Miss Jody-Ann. And the question is, why did you start your business and what inspired it?
Hi, Phelisa. Thank you for having me. Indeed, I'm a makeup artist. I started that 15 years ago. I started that right out of high school. What drew me to it? I love beauty and I love transformation. Anything to do with transformation. And so I would have been drawn to this naturally, physically, from outward beauty, which developed into inner beauty as I became a believer. I ventured off into writing. I'm an author, of course, and deliverance is something that I do. So, of course, transformation, makeup artistry, seeing the inner beauty, enhancing beauty. Deliverance was a part of something that tied in to my work, my craft, and ministry, the transformation of people's souls from outward beauty to inner beauty. And that is a process of metamorphosis. So I love it. And as a result, I also do, business with my husband. We have a business together. We ferment noni juice. So we would have been doing that for a few years, maybe I wouldn't say more than maybe 5 years. So all of this, and I'm author for about 3 years. So that's when I started.
Author for 3 years. That's crazy. Seems so fresh in my mind. Just done 3 years. That's crazy. And guys, noni. All Jamaican people supposed to know noni. And that's amazing. So Joan, why did you start your business? What was the inspiration behind it or behind them?
I currently own three businesses. The first one, or the most popular one, is my theater production company, which is Joan Mckenzie Productions. And this started from a place of passion. Ever since I knew myself, I knew that I wanted to be a performer or an entertainer, an actress. I just wanted to um, be doing something in the performing arts. So yeah, that started from a place of passion. However, what really motivated me to, I would say continue or go so hard or pursue my career so hard in the performing arts was when I lost my mom back in 2019. The production company for me was, or is, well, still is, a place of therapy for me, because art is my therapy. It became not really a distraction, but it kind of eased my mind from the grief and the pain or everything that I was going through, and still going through. um our slogan, or our tagline, is never lose hope. Hope was the name of my mom. My mom was my biggest motivator. She was the one who was always, you know, always motivating me to do what I want, which is the arts. So never lose hope to me means never losing my motivation. I kind of found myself telling people to never lose hope and not giving up on what they wanted to do. So we started a merchandise line where we would have never lose hope on sweatshirts, t-shirts, pullovers, diaries, cups, and other items. So it it when you wear that, or when you have that item, and you see it, you see never lose hope, and it reminds you to never lose your motivation. So the merchandise line is my second business. My third business is a skincare line, which is Glamour by Joan Mckenzie. I started Glamour also from a place of passion. I love cosmetology. I like to take care of myself. It's just, I like to have a self care. So I just wanted to share that.
Kedrine, what inspired your business? What are your businesses? First of all, guys, I follow her. I follow her pages, and I know one, she's a woman that empowers. And when I say empower, I mean empower. She doesn't go light on it. She puts her entire being into it. She doesn't leave anything surface. I know that she encourages, and I know that she bakes. She makes little goodies that taste very, very nice. Very, very nice. So I'll let her introduce, her businesses and what inspired them.
Okay, hello everyone. Actually, say AmandaSpeaks. So I am Kedrine, as Shalisa said, and I had opened a business called Almond Originals a few years ago, probably 3 years ago. And I opened it in the summer when I just came home from college, and I needed some money. I needed some money. And not only that, I think mainly growing up, I grew up with my grandmother, and she would always like cook and bake, and my mom as well. And I just kind of liked that. I was always kind of a quiet person, so I tend to do things with my hands a lot. And I remember that summer I was just baking and just having fun. And sometimes I say like I cook with the Holy Spirit because I'm a Christian. Because when I tell you that things will like in my head, I don't know if we have those ingredients, but I will literally be led in different places to like find those things. And it's just something to me, it's supernatural. That's how I know that it's the Holy Spirit. And so it would always be like a moment of bonding with the Holy Spirit, as well as just baking and having fun. And I love to make people feel happy. And so like I'm like, why not, sweet treats, great friends at the time. My good friend had a serious sweet tooth, and I just always wanted to give them stuff in that nature to eat. But I started making cake jars, which is something at my school. It's more like a popular fundraiser between organizations at my school, and I never really saw people do it in Orlando or in Jamaica. So I just started to make cake jars because a lot of people love it. I loved it. It's just, it's very different, cake in a jar. And then I also did crocheting at the time. My grandmother taught me how to crochet, and I was in the crochet club in my primary school in Jamaica. And it just, I don't know, just always, as I said, I was a very quiet person. So it kind of puts all the thoughts together and just, it's very, yeah. And so that was my business at the time. It really helped me in, just getting through the summer, as well as just financing school to go back. And so it was more of like a summer business where it was open whenever I'll be home from school. So, yes.
Oh, Mendes is good with her hands. That's crazy. So wait. So Kedrine, we talk about Almond. What about She Speaks? Is that a business or?
Well, She Speaks is more like a ministry and a movement. There will be businesses coming out from She Speaks, but I will say that it's more of a ministry and a movement for women. As I told you, as I said, which is, wow, there's a theme here. But I never really used to talk much because of a lot of things, a lot of different past experiences, negative, positive, and I would struggle with expressing myself verbally a lot, and I've grown a lot, thanks be to God. But She Speaks was just a way to empower women that, in whatever it is that you're going through, the devil would want to shut you up. Definitely want to shut you up, make you not speak, make you not declare. And if you read the Bible, lots of the time it says declare, it says speak over yourself, it says open up your mouth, use what's on your tongue, and all of that stuff. And so I definitely wanted to share my testimonies as I go along, and also the testimony of other women. Because at the time, I think that same summer, oh my gosh, I think it was the same summer as Almond Originals. I was around my other group of friends, and they were going through similar things. And then that's when we went to a park just to have a picnic, and we were just sharing things. And I was like, it's time for us to speak, like she speaks. And that was what happened. So, wow, that was actually a great summer. It was a great summer. Okay.
Wow. That's amazing. I'm like, that's amazing. And everything started so simple. I'll put it that way, into something so beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
Now next up we have Jada. And this is a woman that I've literally seen grow, seen blossom. I've seen her start so many things and honestly put her entire being into it, literally. I've seen her work hard and try to balance everything while flourishing in every single area. So Jada, what are your businesses and what inspired them?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you. I am grateful to be here on this webinar. Okay, so my business is let me talk about how I came up with them. So it was back in 2019. Sounds like a long time ago, but it's not really. I was given a nickname, and I used to play for the female basketball team for the Carteret College, and I got the nickname Success. And I'm saying to myself, that's a big name. That is a big name. And I remember I was telling my mom about my nickname and how I loved it and stuff. And that was when she said, why not start a business with it and set success as the foundation? And I said, that time I did not know much about business. I was just for the game and just for school. I didn't think, I'm more of a science person. I'm not business and me, not really. I wasn't thinking that road. And she said, yes, man, I will help you. And I said, I started off by selling some little pop sockets, that are little things they put at the back of your phone, and I put success is a must on it. Because not only I was in it for the money, but I always just tried to find a creative way to spread like positivity amongst everybody. So I tried to cater for everybody. And it blossomed, it did well. And that's when I said I want to take it a step further. So I started to do like hats and shirts and some apparels. And then in the interim, I realized I love taking photos. And and then I remember one year my father asked me what I want for my birthday. And I said, Daddy, I need a camera. And so done. I got the camera, and now I said I'm going to invest. I'm going to start my photography business, definitely. I've started and it's a work in progress, but I know that it's my passion and I'm definitely going to, move forward into it. And also there's a new business on the block where me and my mom actually created together. It deals with more transportation. So we basically transport school children to and from schools, and we also sell cleaning agents as well. So I'm a very busy person, but I love what I do. And for the success businesses, trust me, it is probably one of the best things that has ever happened to me, because just to hear the testimonials to say that I inspire people, it really is a good feeling, because that is what I like. So I'm not 100% in it for the money, but I love to spread positivity. I love to spread that type of awareness. So that is, and trust me, it's a work in progress, but I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud what the business also has to offer in the future.
Let's talk about support. So let's talk about business lady.
Yes.
Wow. I just love the fact that you mentioned your mom, really push you to start it, because a lot of persons, they say that they don't have the support and they don't know how to start. Them just not know, and to know that you had somebody that even gave you that little push, that little drive to say go. I'll help you along the way. It doesn't matter how it turns out. I'm going to help you. That's really beautiful. All your stories are very beautiful to hear, to be very honest. I'm actually very, very excited for, what we're going to talk about further. So, Phelisa, you refer to yourself as a serial entrepreneur, having multiple businesses, and I'm sure you bring your entire self to all of them because you want all of them to be in excellence and you want people to know that it's quality that you're offering. So what made you start these businesses? What was the inspiration behind it, and what are your businesses?
All right, so I'm the founder and CEO of Western STEM Academy. I started that business actually after being fired from a teaching job, so I wanted to become a teacher because of the impact of the teachers in my life. I was teaching, I enjoyed the students, but I realized that I was actually called for more. But then I allowed comfort zone, like, oh, I'm comfortable, my degrees in education, this is the only thing that I can do. And I was doing it and I wanted to start my school, but I said, all right, maybe in retirement when I have time and I have money. But then in the middle of the pandemic, at the start of the pandemic, I was at a private school and they decided that, you know what, that's it. We're laying off teachers. And I got a letter to say, don't come back for September, okay? And it was a dark period for me because I just bought my car and, the car wasn't going to pay for itself. So I said, you know what, instead of just staying in depression, I'm going to use the skills that I have and continue tutoring. So I did that. A lot of parents wanted classes for their students because, it was chaos in the education system at the beginning of the pandemic with schools going online and a lot of teachers not transitioning well. Yeah. And my mode of delivery was so good that we end up having a summer school, and that summer school the parents were like, we need this full time, and that led to the full start of Western STEM Academy. I did that and realized how difficult entrepreneurship is and how little support we have as entrepreneurs. And I said, you know what, I am making it through because of coaches. So I'm going to do a little coaching here and there to help persons too who are struggling with entrepreneurship, persons who want a side hustle but don't know the first step to get it. So I've been coaching. So I'm the founder of a coaching business, the Purpose Finder Club, which helps professional women to start and grow successful, profitable online businesses. And then I realized also that there was another gap in marketing, because marketing is so important for any entrepreneur. So I started a marketing agency. So I run the school, Western STEM, the coaching company, Purpose Finder, and the marketing agency, Pro Linkage Marketing.
Let's see. This sounds like businesswoman, right? A woman of many caps. Wow. A woman of many caps. That is amazing, actually. And to do so many things, I just assume that you have a team working with, correct?
Yes, I do have a team. At first I started off alone and just with the support of my husband. He's very supportive. And so he's like one of my biggest supporters. And then after, we got married, started the business and everything, I actually had to hire, right? So I have a really great team. I have a team of about 20 persons working with across the businesses, and they're amazing. They're amazing.
Thank you so much, Phelisa, for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing. You're doing a great job. And you're doing so many things. So, that's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, I'd assume that Miss Jody is also the longest entrepreneur here. Am I correct?
Possibly.
Okay. So, as the oldest entrepreneur here, I'd want to ask, what are 3 things you learned in entrepreneurship that you wish you knew before going into it?
Yes, so value your craft. Whatever it is that you offer, the services, whatever you do, value it. People have a tendency to criticize what you do, compare it, and people love a bargain. But if you understand that what you do is of value, you won't settle. You know what your price is, so value what you do. You have to first see that. Pay yourself. Trust me. You're going to need to do this. Pay yourself. In all the budgeting that you're doing, set aside something for yourself, even if it is a small business and you're just starting out. Even if you say you're paying yourself $5,000, let something be in your budget to pay yourself. Know your market and stay true to yourself. So in doing something that everybody else is doing, you're going to feel the pressure of competing. Competitiveness is a part of business, but you must know what your market is. So if somebody is doing cake in a jar, you can't say to yourself, well, somebody else is doing so, I'm not doing it. Know what makes you unique, stay true to yourself, and work your market, because there's a niche for everybody. There's enough space on the platform for everybody to do something. And if you know what your value is, what you're offering, what services you have, know exactly what you do. So those are the 3 things that I would really say to anybody doing a business is very important.
And on that note, I guess I'd ask, because you did mention if a market is saturated. Do you actually think that's a thing though? Can a market be oversaturated?
I don't think so. If it is the same thing being replicated, however, yes, because I do know that a lot of people do that. Though, if you're offering, that is when you're not authentic or true to yourself. If you see somebody doing something and there's nothing different, you don't have an identity, a footprint, a marking that says this is mine, this is what makes mine different from the others, then it's just a replica of somebody else's idea. You can have the same idea, but nobody can have your vision. Your vision is to be unique. And that is what makes it stand out and be different from everybody else. So even for me and makeup artistry, there's so many people doing makeup, but nobody does it the way I do it. I know what I'm good at. I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. So we have to study ourselves. We have to know what our weaknesses are. And the difference with me and other people is that whenever I do makeup, I'm laying hands on somebody. So as a minister of the word, hello, me in my spirit, I am praying up this person, and trust me, when them leave, they're going to experience some form of transformation in their life about how they view themselves, because my touch is different from anybody else's touch. So you have to know what's different about you and what you're offering.
I love that. I love that. And on that note, Kedrine, I'd ask, even doing She Speaks, we always hear about women empowerment, and especially nowadays, we're hearing much more about these type of conferences and circles where women are sharing their stories and hoping that it will reach other young ladies and even older ladies, to help them with their struggles, with their fears and stuff. What would you say basically helps you to stand out from every other one?
So, if I could definitely, all that Miss Jody said, that really put into perspective some things that I was trying to work out. So back when I had Almond Originals, as soon as I started the business, a lot of people that were close to me in my close circle opened up the same business, and they had a conversation with me prior. And sometimes a conversation is not enough because you are doing the same thing that I'm doing. And they opened up the same business, and a lot of people were getting to my head about with comparison, about things that I need to be doing, where I need to be. And I was very flustered, and I just shut down everything. I shut down everything. Wow. I opened it back up, but now it's not as active because of time and environment and seasons and stuff of that nature. But I've learned a lot from that business that has helped me with She Speaks. With She Speaks, when it first really came about, like on the social media scene, a lot of people did the same thing, got their women's group and things of that nature. And I had to remind myself, knowing that this is a self battle. Are you the one that's allowing comparison to come to you? That's allowing confusion to come to you? And then I just realized that, you know what? I can't compete because we're not the same. We're not in the same lane. I'm called to a certain nation, you're called to a certain nation. I don't want to have your nation. It's too much pressure. It's too much pressure. So I'm going to stay where I'm at, and whoever needs me in here, then where I am at, that's who I'm going to serve. And I realized something with She Speaks is that it's meant to bridge gaps between generations, where it's like, it's not just a for adolescent age group. It's for all age groups. For older women that may be feeling insecure, for pregnant women, for women that committed abortion, for young teenage girls that just feel like, yo, this is not it, for just a variety of women. And so, like, what I've learned is to not put myself in a box, stay true to what God has called me to do. Definitely, encourage others, and just, value what other people are doing, but don't think that you have to be there, so that's what I've been doing.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a mouthful. Hello, somebody. A mouthful. But Jada, what are
Mhm.
3 things you've learned? Being such a young person in entrepreneurship and having so much things on your brain, and I'm sure we'll get into that in another question. But what are 3 things that you've learned that you wish you knew before stepping into entrepreneurship?
Okay, so the 3 things that I wish I knew was the first one being the importance of marketing. Being a young person, you're thinking that, okay, customers are going to come to me, but that isn't how it works actually. So you have to actually put your business out there, whether it be creating posts or verbally or non-verbally. You have to put your business out there. You don't just sit and say, oh, my friend will support me. Oh, this person will support me, because they know, no, it doesn't work like that. I thought that was how it worked, but I got a taste of my own medicine. And being a shy person, I think that was one of the disadvantage, because I I would talk, but sometimes I'm afraid of the outcome, like what the person might say. Like, what if I said I introduce something to them and then they say, oh, you're not interested. I'm not going to feel encouraged anymore. Instead of going out and saying, okay, you're not interested, but you can introduce it to somebody else. No, I wasn't. I wasn't that type of person. So after doing my research and all of that, I know the importance of marketing. And another thing that I wish I knew was price matching. Now, sometimes you might have your item, and then when you compare it to what another person is selling and the price, you have to think to yourself that, why would this person buy from you knowing that this other person offers it at a lower price? So you have to know. I mean, yes, you have to consider your shipping. If you get your stuff from overseas, you consider your shipping and the quality and all of that. But you don't have to overprice yourself out of the market. Because if you know that there's something, that the item is worth $2,000 and you're selling it at $3,500, and you know that it is the same product, persons are not going to gravitate to that. So we have to do price matching, right? And another thing is consistency. Oh my, because sometimes I'm up, down, in the middle, all around. Sometimes, to be honest, there are times when I'm not consistent, and that is when persons will lose interest in your business. I mean, you have your loyal supporters, but in order to stay on common grounds, you have to be consistent. I did not do as much research before, but now I know that, listen, you have to be consistent. You have to know your market. You have to not overprice yourself outside of the market. And also the other beautiful points the other persons mentioned earlier. So those were the 3 outstanding ones for me.
So, Joan, what would you say to people who have been told that their products or their services are too expensive?
I would say to that person, once you know that you are not robbing your customers and you're not overcharging your customers, then go ahead. You must know the time that you've spent and all the money that you've spent for to to build that product or service that you are offering. So once you know that you're not robbing people, then sure, go ahead, make your price. Your customers will come.
That's all right. Big ups to you. Thank you so much for sharing. That was really encouraging. Thank you. You're telling people basically to be, authentic with their prices, but also to be realistic and also to know their value. Thank you so much for sharing that. Back to Jada. You mentioned price matching, right? Would you like to give us a little bit about how you do that? Because some persons, okay, you don't want to put it as a price where you don't make a profit, but you don't want to overprice it at the same time. So I'm following you with the overpricing, you don't want to underprice, but at the same time, how do you price match while still making a profit?
Okay, so you have to consider, as I said before, consider your supplier. You have to consider the price, and you also have to consider your shipping as well. And also, you have to compare. You have to compare. Like if you see somebody else is selling the same exact thing that you are selling, you have to compare. Even though sometimes they might get it from a different supplier, but you have to just know, say, all right, know your product as well. That is very important. You have to know your product as well. So most persons, I want to say most persons do is that before they actually start to sell a product, they buy one for themselves and like they have a feel of the product. So they know exactly what it's worth. You can't just say, look on online description and say this, that. You have to actually feel the product, you have to actually know the product. So once you feel the product, you know the product, you know what people will like, then that is when you said, okay, I know that this product is worth this amount. So not really to overprice or underprice yourself, but you just know in your mind, say that this is what this product is worth. So yeah, I hope I explained it properly. But yeah, you just have to know your product. You have to just know it.
I think we got the gist of it, to be honest, because I know it's often a concern for persons. Which also I'm going to ask Miss Jody, like, what do you think, or what would you say to a person who they've been told that their product or their service is too expensive, nobody's going to support, nobody's going to support, you know, you need to drop your price, XYZ, and even going back to what Jada was saying, you know, some persons may be able to get it cheaper, but also you mentioned previously knowing your vision, knowing what you're standing for. So what would you say to that person?
Look here, I am not one. I never ever question somebody's price. I never question somebody's price because I don't want nobody question my price. You see our family product, Backyard Meadows Noni Juice. When you see our product on the shelf, you know it's quality you're getting. From the labeling, how it looks, how it is produced, everything about it, you know it's quality. So when we put a price on that, nobody looks at it and go, oh, this is too expensive. A matter of fact, when it's on the shelf in the supermarket, yes, it's the more expensive noni juice that is there. But when you see the other one beside it, you're seeing something, the labeling don't look right, it not straight, the quality of the printing is not good. And then it makes you wonder, you're like, okay, what does their factory look like? How do they produce their stuff? It makes you question it. So I would rather pay money, value for money and for the quality, than to pay something that I know probably wasn't done right. So, you know, I think you have to look at your costing, your cost factor. What does it cost you? And then you work from there, not to cheat yourself. So you have to make a profit, and whatever profit that you're making, you know why you need to put the price for what it is. But people are getting value for money. People must always know that when they spend on an item, they don't have to feel guilty about it, because they're gonna get value for their money. They're gonna see the rewards from using your product. It lasts. And so I don't, anybody who says, well, you know, that's too expensive or whatever, I'm like, well, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. And and that is just the thing. The Bible talks about not balling down people's price. It's in Proverbs. Whenever somebody goes to a vendor, like you go to the market and they're saying, well, no man, this is too much money. So and so I sell it for whatever, and then the person walks away saying, oh, I got a bargain, and you just lost, because people are using their heads on you. So you just have to stick with your price and not rob yourself. A lot of people who start business out, they rob themselves, they give things for free, they give away things. Yeah, so that is my thing. Don't feel guilty.
Let the church say amen, hallelujah. Because I cannot tell you how many persons will quite, especially when you mention that whole bargain thing and giving away free stuff. I think we also have been taught if we want to sell something, we need to give away our things for free for a time. So I'm happy that you mentioned that. Kedrine, what are your thoughts?
Oh my gosh, that is on the head. Okay, that hit the nail on the head. I remember in Almond Originals, I used to do a lot of sales. I mean, a lot of sales. And even when people used to support me, I used to feel very. I My sister actually helped me with pricing and all of that stuff, and I used to think, trust me, that price matching thing. I'm like, man, and, oh gosh, it's just so much. This is necessary. um, but I used to do a lot of sales, and even when people, I used to be packing my orders, I used to feel so bad. I'm like, man, people really spending their money. I need to pack this, pack that. I'm gonna give them an extra surprise. Like so many things I used to do. If I have a customer order from me 3 times, I'm like, man, they need to deserve a free thing or something. But I realized that, I have to, it was more of a self thing. It was an identity thing where I need to see my worth and why I think that this product needs to be this price, and why I need to stay there, because at the end of the day, I was losing more than I was gaining, which is not good, so yeah.
Come on now. And I'm happy that you even realized that as well, that you were actually losing more than you were gaining. Because some persons will tell you that, no man, just continue doing the sales, you soon get a breakthrough, and then they don't realize what's going wrong. So I love that. Now, Jada, because I know your profession, or if you're studying to do rather, what does balance really look like being a full-time nursing student and having so many businesses?
Wow. I get that question a lot. A lot, a lot, a lot. The person has asked me, how do you manage? But I always say, once you're passionate about something, you are going to find the time. And I'm passionate for everything that I do. I love nursing. I love it very, very much, even though sometimes I cry. Or sometimes, it has its ups and down days. I love it. I love the profession, and I also love the impact my success businesses are doing. So once you have the passion, you're going to find time. You're going to make sacrifices, definitely. And because sometimes persons will reach out to me out of the blue. They will say, Jada, you really inspire me because I'm in school and it's very hard for me. And to see how you are right now, I can't believe I'm going into my final year. I mean, I still cannot believe. And the fact that persons are saying that, they're going to start their own business because once I can do it, they can do it too. And those are the things that kind of keeps me going. So sometimes, yes, it is hard. And sometimes time management is of key as well. Sometimes to be honest, sometimes I'm not consistent. I am still working on it. But sometimes I do make the sacrifices. And I put in the effort, I put in the time because why? It is my passion. So trust me, it's hard, but in the end, I know it will all be worth it.
So that's beautiful, first of all. So on a typical day, let's say you have a good amount of sales when it comes to your business.
Mm-hmm.
What does a typical week look like for you?
Okay, so for a typical week, all right, integrating classes. Like, so for instance, I do have classes during the week, but the lucky thing about it is that it is online. So I try to be flexible. I try to multitask. One thing COVID taught me is to be multitask. Trust me. So sometimes when I have like early morning classes and I have a break, like for instance, whether it be lunch or like a 2 hour break, then that is when sometimes I pre-pack my orders. So if I know that during the week I have orders, I always pre-pack it from the night before. So on that day, they're done packaged and ready to be delivered. So any break that I get at all during the day, I try to work with the time for my customers as well. And they have to work with me too because I'm a busy person. So sometimes I might not be able to make the deliveries. Sometimes I'll ask my mom, and also I have a team working with me. So sometimes I will give them the opportunity, or I will ask them kindly to, to help me out as it relates to deliveries. Because sometimes it can get very overwhelming. So I'm just glad for the people who are around me and the support, honestly. But for a typical week, I just do classes and get them out of the way. And if I have any time at all, then that is when I do my deliveries. And then when I'm back at home, then that is when I do my assignments, I do my pre-packaging, and then it just like a cycle. So yeah, anytime I get, that is when I say, okay, I have to do my deliveries. Or sometimes I make posts, I'll make videos, I will take photos, I will do something to make some content for my pages. So any free time I get, I mean, and the fact that I love it. So I'm not going to say it's work. I kind of find it as a hobby. So yeah, that's what like a typical typical week is like for me.
So no, I'm going to need some Jada drive because how it sounds like you're passionate it so much that even when you're tired, it's not like you're too tired to still put in work. You get what I mean? Like you sound like it's never work for you, as you just said. It's never work for you. It's always a joy to fulfill what you're doing. I'm gonna need some of that drive there. I'm going to need some of your drive. But Kedrine, I know that you're a recent graduate. Celebrate. I know that you're a recent graduate and you're going to further study. You're going for, is it your master's? Master's?
Yes.
Yes. It's okay. Take a deep breath. It's okay. But how do you feel, going for your master's and knowing that you have these businesses going? What do you think balance will look like for you? Or how do you want it to look?
So for Almond Originals, that business it's not as active as it was before, and I mainly do if friends ask me or if they ask me to cater an event that they're having, so it's not mainly like up for advertising or marketing right now. But for She Speaks, as a ministry, I feel like sometimes God will literally tell you what to do and you have to be obedient to doing it. And so he will literally show me ways to pre-plan and to ask this person to be on my team or to do this and do that. Have I been diligent? Working on it. And so in terms of the whole going into school and She Speaks, I know that there's a vision that God will want me to accomplish with that. So like there's way more, and who am I to stop it? It's not even mine, it's his. So I need to be obedient in doing that. And so for She Speaks, I definitely see myself pre-planning, as Jada said, trying to do things consistently and ahead so that it'll be easier, and also adding a few people to my team so that it's easier with posting, because it's mainly, which I really love, is mainly like a social media type of movement. And so there will be in-person events in the future. However, like for now, it's mainly like being creative and posting and all of that stuff. So I think just as God continues to equip me with things that he wants to say, which is the easier part, because as long as I'm connected to him and striving for him, he will give me things that he wants to say through me. Just keep being consistent and doing what he says. So I think the balance will be there as long as I'm obedient to God. So yes.
Just come from my conversation with God. Yes, ma'am. It's okay. I hear you. But Miss Jody, no. What does balance look like for you when it comes to both business and ministry?
Business, ministry, and home. The most important part of it. Being a mother, you wear many hats. And for women generally, from the old time, people say, oh, the woman stays home, take care of the children, blah, blah, blah. The woman takes care of the children generally. For me, my family is my first priority, not ministry, as some people have that hierarchy totally out of whack to say, that ministry represents God. And because God is in ministry, that you put him first and then you neglect your family and your family is suffering and it's hell upside down, your children suffering and they're neglected. So for me, I learned that very early from my pastor. Your marriage, your family is your number one ministry. It's your number one priority. That is where you get your support. That's where you get your covering. So for me, knowing that my family is number one, everything I do is out of love. Just as Jada would say, passion. Love, without love, loving what you do, it's going to be very hard to keep any business, any ministry going. So for me, I have to keep my family forefront. Time management is very important. Organization is the next important. I literally have many things that I steward. So if I don't organize myself, everything is confusing. It will be coming at, like, from the minute I wake up, my phone will be going off. This person need help. From a ministry point of view, I have to stay up with this person. I have prayers to do with this person. And then I'm getting orders and I need to make sure I have enough books for this seminar that I'm going to speak at. I have to make sure that, you know, we have enough on the shelf when we're doing our noni, and the supply can't meet the demand, and we have to source this, and it can become overwhelming. But once you learn to prioritize your time, give adequate, you have to be able to can compartmentalize. I've learned to do that. So I literally, if it means that writing it down in a book, this is what I'm responsible for. 1, 2, 3 things. This is the amount of time I'm going to give to this today. My calendar is my best friend. My alarm is my best friend, because in order to run so many things efficiently, you have to keep yourself organized. Your mind have to be organized. So when something is happening out of whack, you're not perturbed by it. So so my family is my priority. Love is my motive. You have to have time management and organization. You have to give the same energy in every area, the same energy, nothing lacking. If I'm giving my 100% in ministry, I have to make sure I give my 100% to my family. I have to give my 100% in business. I can't shortfall in any way. So if you find that something is out of whack, you have to assess yourself, introspect, do an evaluation. At the end of the day, judge yourself, because people are going to be critical of you. My husband is my accountability partner when it comes to ministry, to make sure he'll nudge me. So I'll say, have an accountability partner for the many things that you do, to know when you're going off into somewhere that, okay, you're spending too much time with this now. All right, you need to draw back a little bit, assess what you're doing. So having all of those things in mind keeps you grounded, keeps you level-headed, keeps you focused. But organization is very important. So whatever it means, if you need an app on your phone to keep your structure, whatever it is, you need to keep it together for you first. If your mind is not together, you can't present anything good outside of yourself.
That's good. That's really, really good. And I love the fact that you brought in even just your home life, because I'm sure we've heard many horror, and I hope it's that horror stories of, ministers doing their job, doing the Lord's work and stuff, and their families are suffering. Like, they feel as though they no longer have a parent, they no longer have a husband or a wife, because they're, quote unquote, doing the work of the Lord. And, I just even want to ask you, really, I remember listening to a podcast, and they were saying that balance is not just being at everything or doing everything, but just as you mentioned, it's bringing 100% to everything that you do. And if you have a person who they directly got their vision, their business, their dream from the Lord, but they're not seeing the growth that they want, or that they initially thought would happen, what would you say to them?
Never despise small beginnings. And you have to have a hunger for what you do. If you don't believe in what God has said to you, you won't be energized to keep going, because that is the character in you that is being worked out like a muscle, perseverance. If you can't conquer it, the Bible says that if you run with footmen and you're weary, how much more when you start going against horses? So if you have a vision, God has put a vision in your heart for your your business and you get discouraged in the first year, that was just a test. So you have to really be supported. You have to have the right people to motivate you through it. And when you don't have the motivation, you have to encourage yourself. Encourage yourself. Sometimes I clap myself. I said, girl, you did so well. I don't have nobody to encourage me. Girl, you did so well. When I had my book launch, nobody never carried me out, but I felt I deserved to be taken out. So I took out myself. So, you have to know that, look here, you never conceived this on your own. This vision came from God. This came right from God. You give your 100 to anything that you're doing. So, that small beginnings, don't despise it. If nobody don't buy nothing from you or just your friends supporting you in the first year, keep pushing, persevere through it, because if you keep at it, as I've heard the word, going around about consistency, you're gonna see the fruit of your labor, especially if God called you to do it. So it could just be a test for the first year. Don't worry about it. Faith without works is dead. So if you vision it, but you haven't been working at it, you're not gonna see any reward from your work. So you have to put in the work and be honest with yourself. Evaluate yourself. Am I really giving this my all? Ask an older person for advice. What can you change? You need, nothing runs off by just you. You need advisors. And the Bible talks about it. So much things that come from business is found in Proverbs. And the world has taken our concept as Christians, ran with it without the God factor, and have done many things. The lodges are like that. They stick together. They have many advisors and they do very well. The Christians, however, they don't stick together. They're so competitive and they're afraid. They think they have it all together. There's a level of independence. I don't need people, and you don't get advice. So when you find that things are not working out, get advice. Have an advisor. Find a mentor. These are things that you need to build your business and to grow. But if you still say no work out in the beginning, you have to keep trying until you see the rewards. God would have to come back to you and tell you, say, look here, now focus on something else. But if God said it, that settles it. And you keep working at it till you start producing something.
Wow. Yeah, we can just clap her, right? Not true? We can just clap her, right? Right? Okay. Phelisa, a question for you. What would you say to someone who may be discouraged because they don't think they're receiving the support they actually expected?
All right. So becoming successful, it's always difficult. It's not an easy journey. The most successful persons go through some of the worst things that you can imagine. Even sometimes when I reflect on my journey, like I lost my father when I was 7. My mother developed a mental illness. I was in state care as a teenager. So my beginning was hard. I was fired before I started my business. So there are so many things that we go through. So if you feel like it's hard right now, trust me, you're doing something right. Because when you're on your journey to success, it is difficult. There are days that I still want to pull my hair out. But at the end of the day, you have to think about what's the big goal. What is it that you want to achieve? And you have to also believe that you have the power to achieve it. Because you do. Right? You literally do. It's hard, but it's possible. You just need to take it one step at a time and stop trying to do everything at once.
Oh, if it's not easy, you're doing something right. Come on now. Going to Jada. Miss Jody just mentioned, advisors. Do you have an advisor at the moment? If yes, was it hard to find an advisor for what you wanted to do?
Okay. Do I have an advisor? Yes, I do. And that person means a lot to me. It was not hard to find that person because I live with her. She's my mom. So she's my mentor. She's my advisor. She's everything to me. If I have a problem, because she herself is into sales and marketing, so she has an idea. She has the business head. So as a person who is learning, like I go to her, she's my teacher as well. So it was not hard for me because I trust her, and whatever she says, I mean, when you're young, sometimes you don't want to listen to your parents, but whatever she says, I'm telling you that it makes sense and it does work. And also, separate and apart from my mom, I do pray about these things. I do pray about these things because when I was starting my business, nobody did not know about it. Nobody at all. I remember you, Shalisa, said, Jada, you didn't tell me, girl. I'm saying I did not tell anybody at all about it. The only persons who knew my plans were my mom and also God. Because I said, God, I don't know anything about business. And you put the idea in my head. So you have to go help me out. And it was not hard for me to find an advisor because she's readily available. She's there. I can say, Mommy, today I had an encounter with a customer. How you think I should deal with it? And she would sit there and she would talk to me. She would guide me. And then sometimes when I do feel discouraged and I don't want to go to her and talk to her about it, I always go to God and I say, God, me I know. you need to help me out here. So I mean, they do mean a lot to me. They really do mean a lot to me. I mean, I do have friends and family who are also, supportive, but my mom, she's my foundation. And I'm just living up to her right about now. And also God. Because without them, I don't even think I'll be even here at this webinar sharing my experience and motivating others. So I mean, I'm very grateful, honestly. Don't cry
That's
now.
how I feel. Oh. Oh my goodness, precious. No, that's really precious, and I'm happy that you found your advisor even in your home. Because on my side, I would say that sometimes it is hard to find mentors. It is hard to find advisors, depending on what you want them for. So I'm so happy that you found one right there in your house. But to Kedrine, no. Right. Hi. I would ask you, do you think that there's a set time to start a business? As well as, do you think there's a time when you're supposed to, or when you can turn your business into a ministry? And is every business a ministry?
Wow. All right. The first question is there ever a right time to start a business? I do believe that there's an appointed time to start a business. Recently, another organization was having a business event, and the panelist was saying that every day she wakes up with a business idea. Every day. And now that she is actually in her established business, she's like, I thank God I never worked upon some of the business ideas that I had before. And so many times we'll have ideas and stuff, but it is definitely for us, or we wake up with an idea. It's definitely for us to introspect, as Miss Jody was saying, to, really bring it to God, bring it to to our advisors and our mentors, and definitely see our mission, our vision. Does this make sense? Will this business last? What's the reality of the market and everything? But as Miss Jody said, if God said it, then that settles it, which means that if you are, if you're faith based and you're really thinking, okay, I really get this push to start this now, start it now. Definitely God is gonna give you the wisdom and stuff of that nature. But it's not every moment or in every season you should just get up and start something. Especially if you're looking at your reality and you're like this, like you have to know yourself, introspect, know what's going on, and it's not everything you should start. So yes. That's my answer for that one. And then the second question, you were saying, should every business turn into like a ministry?
Or rather, is every ministry a business?
Is every ministry a business? I don't think every ministry is a business. I mean, some people probably look at a church and say, oh, the church has become such a business and such a this, and a lot of tags and stereotypes and stuff of that nature. I don't believe every ministry is a business for sure. Like, for example, my ministry, it's not necessarily a business. As I said, businesses will come out of it, but I think you just have to know your thing. And for faith-based people, you definitely want to be careful with how you're just putting God on certain things, and thinking that that's just gonna get sales or to settle your own spirit, because that's not it. So yeah.
Definitely love that. Definitely love that. Miss Jody, I remember when we were on the phone call and we were talking, and we had a short little conversation of people, saying selling the gospel and their definition of selling the gospel and stuff. And I'd want to ask you, how would you combat that when persons come to you and they say that you're selling the gospel, you're not, they should be done free. Everything that you do should be done free because it is the word of God and, stuff like that. How would you combat that? What would you say to them?
Mm-hmm. Well, ministry in of itself, I want to answer to add what Kedrine said. Not every ministry is a business, but in order to steward what God has given you, you have to run it like a business. So in order to manage, you have to be educated business-wise, how to run something to have it endure. We will serve the Lord with gladness, with no expectations, because everything that we do it unto God. However, the Bible gave strict instructions that the laborer is due his wages. So that is why we have different aspects. Even when you think about a church, you have an admin. There are people gifted with added administrational gifts that is supposed to be seeking the benefit of their leaders. We're to take care of our leaders, and so that we must make sure that they're well taken care of. No, as somebody who is in ministry, I never advertise myself to say I'm selling the gospel. I don't ask for money. I don't for my speaking engagements, because there's two types of speaking engagements for ministry. So I speak for deliverance as an evangelist, as a deliverance minister, but I also have a book that the Lord said to me, people need this information. So you're going to put it in a book. You're going to sell the book. Somebody actually cursed me out, saying how I'm using God's word and benefiting money from it. And I'm like, God gives every one of us gifts. We all have a gift, and the Lord said that we must use our talents and make a profit from it. And if he comes back to us and say that we did not make a profit from it, he's going to say, you wicked and slothful servant. Did you steward what God gave you? How are you going to live? How are you going to eat? And if this is the way that God has said, Paul never broke. Him said, him never go and beg nobody nothing because he had his own money. What was he doing to earn money? So there are gifts that God gives us. He wants us to make money from it. But whenever it comes to the gospel, you must not sell it. You must not say you're selling prophetic word. Are you a psychic? You must not do that. There are honorariums. People will ask you, how can I take care of you? What are your expenses? And in such a case, you can share that information, but you have to differentiate what you're doing. So then you have speaking engagements that are outside of church related things, such as business opportunities. And as a speaker, what is your fee? Now, when it comes to business separate outside of ministry, you must have a fee, because this is not ministry. Freely you give, freely you receive, freely you give. So when it's ministry, you're giving it free, but make sure that as the person taking care of that person, you're going to pay them. You're not saying, look here, pay me, but you're making it known that, hello, I have to do God's work. It's going to cost me to come there. Are you going to pay for my travel expenses to come to this place? Those things need to be known. So as a speaker, if you're speaking on business matters and whatever, this is separate and apart from ministry now. You must have a price in what you do when it comes to speaking engagement. So it is a careful balance, but you have to understand your motive and how you go about it. It's how you go about it that really speaks the heart where you're coming from. I've seen people abuse the ministry of God and try to gain from it. And you know the motive right off the bat.
So what I'm hearing, can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing, one, as you said lastly, is that it's about the motive. Why are you doing what you're doing? As well as I'm also hearing that it goes both ways. That even though you're doing it unto the Lord and you're not really expecting anything, another thing is that it's on the person who is asking you to come and do it to say, okay, even though you're not saying that I'm supposed to pay you XYZ, it is still on me to give you, what do they call it again? Is it a gift offering or
It's
something?
an honorarium.
Honorarium, but to give you something, to show that we appreciate you. That's what I'm hearing. Am I right?
Yes, yes, correct.
Love that. Because I know that, as you say, you've heard persons abuse the gospel, where it has reached a point where persons will say that they're not coming to preach if they're not getting XYZ. And it's like, who are you doing it for? It's a mess sometimes. But I'm loving that you're explaining it as well, because I know persons, just as you said, somebody cursed you about your own book that the Lord fully equipped you to write. Fully cursed you saying you're selling the gospel and stuff when that's not really how it is and what it's about. So I do love that, and I do that you mentioned the whole motive, because I do think that we can approach things wrong and approach things even with wrong ideologies and stuff like that. What is it like working with a team? Like, I'm sure it lifts some of the load and stuff, but what does that look like? What does that feel like? How do you manage people?
All right. So in terms of management, that can be a whole job on its own
Yeah.
in terms of leadership, because first you want to be a leader that inspires. Because I remember when I was actually a teacher in the system, I despised it, and it wasn't because of the job, it was just because of the leaders. I didn't feel like they cared about us. It was just get the job done and that's it. No empathy. So as a leader, what I try to do, I try to understand my team. I understand their strengths, their weaknesses, and I allow them, that space where they can share with me whatever is going on with them. So yes, the work is important. I want to get the work done clearly, but at the same time, you are part of my team. You are my team, and your well-being, your health, and your wealth, as well as your wellness, it's important to me. So I need to know what's going on with you. So I create that atmosphere and almost a safe space where they know they can share with me, they can share with each other, they can support each other. I support them, they support me. So it's more of a collaborative effort than anything else.
Okay, that's really good though. Now, Kedrine mentioned that she wants to get a team, or is it she speaks or is it with Almond?
She speaks.
She speaks. Okay, so when you get a team, are you just looking for it to be social media wise, or are you looking to have like campaigns going more into the field side of it? And do you think it will actually lift some of the load?
Yes, definitely a holistic team. To serve in whatever way that I'm instructed to have them serve. Making sure that I'm delegating tasks and not being a one-woman show, and just breaking this whole independent thing, because it's not for me. It's not at the end of the day self-made. Da 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 da. Like, I don't like that at all. That's not, to me. It's not of God. And also, like, whenever it comes on, if I can just plug this in, whenever it comes on to like creating a team and things of that nature, I have to always keep in mind that God is not just like, I can't be so selfish thinking that, oh, God is just doing this for me. No. God is seeing about other people. They could be praying like, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of a team. I need something to put on my resume. This is, like, God is seeing about their thing. You understand? Does that make sense? Like, God is literally not just seeing about me, and I have the honor of leading and stuff of that nature, but God is seeing about other people. God is answering their prayers as well. So I really do want a holistic team. God has definitely showed me individuals and given me instruction of that nature. But yeah.
Okay. Jade, I'm not sure if you have a team. You can tell me whether or not you do have a team and if it has lightened the load. But the real question I'm asking also is, how has budgeting played a huge part in your business? Because I know we hate the word budgeting. We like to spend our own money and our own time because it's our money. But how has budgeting impacted you?
Okay. All right. Let me answer the first question first. Yes, I do have a team working with me. When I just started the success business, I said I cannot do this by myself. And even though, yes, I do have a great advisor, but I said I need help. I'm going to need help, especially knowing that before I started university. I said things are going to get hard, so I'm definitely going to need help. So I selected some persons. I mean, before I practical about it first, and he gave me this list of persons, said I should reach out to them, and they have been doing a great job. And honestly, almost all of them right now has their own business, and it is definitely doing great because they said I do inspire them, and we support each other. So I don't see them as working for me. I just see them like a big support group. Then that's what I view them as. As it relates to budgeting, wow, it is very important. You have to know when you get the money. You have to know what you're doing with it. You have to invest in everything. Let's say you have to invest in it. You must know how much you're spending here, and you also have to prioritize too. You cannot say, okay, I made this amount of money, I'm going to just do unnecessary shopping. No, you have to know how exactly you're going to split your money within yourself, your businesses, and other aspects of your life. So it is very much, very, very, very much important, especially most Jamaicans. Whenever they get some money, it's like they just gone, so they don't know where it gone. But you really have to know what exactly. And for me, I normally I love to write. I love to write my figures. So if I know I get X amount of money, I know what exactly how I'm going to spend it amongst different categories per se. So I'm going to invest this in my business, I'm going to invest this on myself, because yes, we need self-care. You can't be getting up and working every day like that. So you have to find ways and means to, treat yourself, and also to invest back into your business. So it is very much important. I mean, it is not something someone can get perfect, because there are times when you're going to slip up, and there are times when you're going to overspend, you're going to underspend, but you have to learn from your mistakes. You do have to learn from your mistakes. If you know that, okay, this time around, I spent too much on these products, the next time around, I'm probably going to find a different supplier. I'm going to probably, just find ways and means to, try to integrate all of your money to make sure that you know what exactly you're spending, and also know the value and the quality and the quantity, all of that. So it is very much important. As I said, I am not perfect as it relates to budgeting, but it's a learning process for me because I'm still young. So it's a learning process for me. So I mean, I'm not perfect at it, but I just know that, hey, it is very important. You have to know how exactly you are spending your money, and also to treat yourself.
I know you couldn't leave it out. I know you couldn't leave it out. But with everything that you said, everything I agree with. How does budgeting play a role in business for you, Joe?
Budgeting does play an important role in business. It helps you to know what you have, what you can afford, and what your goal is. You don't want at the end of the day you overspend, or you borrow a lot of money and then you end up in a debts. A bit, if you own a business, that means you want to earn something from it. Unless you just want to look good, or you just want to be in the hype, or you just want to look bossy to say, hey, I have a business, which kind of don't make any sense, because so it does play an important role to help you to keep on track, and to earn, especially if you have a team. You have people looking up to you to feed them. So you have to have a budget in everything that you're doing with your business.
Wow. Especially if you have a team. You have people now looking up to you to feed you, to take care of them. That's a really good point. That is a really good point. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, Jada, the other thing is, you talked about sometimes not being consistent with everything that you have going on your business and school and stepping into your final year. Can we talk about that? How important is rest for you? And when do you realize that you're getting burnt out?
Okay, I mean, whew, rest. What is that? I mean, sorry, rest. I see myself as a very hardworking person, and sometimes to get this out there, recently I find myself like taking up extra tasks because last month my mom actually did a surgery, a major surgery, and it's just three of us live, me, my mom, and my little brother. And I have to take up a lot of responsibilities. Plus, I have to be managing school, plus my businesses and all of that. So during that time, I mean, it was very hard for me to rest. But I know that as a nurse in training, you always tell your patients that, listen, you need to sleep. But really and truly, we're not practicing what we're teaching. But I try. I try my best to at least be comfortable, get into my comfort zone. I mean, sometimes they say that you have to get at least 8 hours of sleep. I don't know when last I actually slept for a whole 8 hours, but I mean, I try. I cannot exhaust myself because I know that I still have not yet accomplished my goals. I still have not yet, because I know God placed me here for a purpose. And I know that even though I am doing well, but I know that I will be doing more and I can do more. So I try my best to sleep at least. Sometimes, when you're too tired, so you can't sleep, sometimes it gets to that point. It gets to that point, but what I don't get frustrated or anything like that. This is when I try to, come up with that diversional therapy. So I listen music, I would watch videos, I would just watch TV, just do something to just to relax myself. So I know rest is very important, and I teach to my patients. I say, listen, you need to sleep, but really and truly, we don't really practice what we teach. But I try my best. I try, because sometimes it does get overwhelming. Sometimes I do cry. So, but then I was talking to one of my friends, and she says, I couldn't explain how I was feeling. And she said, listen, God understands your tears. And I said, why? I don't know what this is. I pick up on myself. I don't know what is this. I'm supposed to be consistent as well. This was when everything was just all over the place for me. But I know that God, He did give me the strength. He did, and He is giving me the strength to move forward, because as I said before, there's a lot of things that I want to accomplish. There's a lot of things that I want to do. And, I just have to ask God to just continue to give me the strength. I mean, to do whatever I have to do. So it's hard. It's hard. It's very hard. But not to say easy. It's very hard. But I know that, as I said before, in the end, it will also be worth it. So, yeah. Try to get some sleep when you can, people. Don't be like me over here.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And of course, it can get overwhelming. And I saw Miss Jody's eye go wide, like, when last did you get 8 hours? 8 hours of sleep seems like a lot. I don't know what that is anymore.
No, actually, contrary. I don't play with my 8 hours. I don't play with my 8 hours at all. My phone goes off every night at 10. It reminds me that it's my bedtime. Like 15 minutes before, it says, Jody-Ann, 15 minutes to bedtime. I don't play with my 8 hours. I get my rest. And there are seasons for different things. So even as Jada said, she's young, she has to make, she has to build her business and all of that. Stress is a real thing, and I believe in mental health 100%. And your mental health begins to deplete when you don't get rest and when you don't eat properly. So if you're not getting your nutrients, and because I'm in health foods, such as the noni, which is a superfruit, I know that I have to take my noni, which is a supplement. I have to get my rest. And if something is off in my schedule, I know it's because something is lacking. To be able to do diverse things and to multitask, you need your energy. If you don't have your energy, you're going to get depressed. You're going to find that you don't have the energy to get up in the morning. It's very important. People are depending on you. I have children. So, the minute that I lose a screw somewhere, I have to go find the screw. If I find that I lose my piece, I have to go find where the last place it dropped. I have to pick it up. So I do a lot of introspection. I know when my balance is off. When my balance is off, I take a break. And I go into isolation, and isolation not being negative, but I say to myself, okay, you've been working very hard. I feel it in my neck. I feel the tension. I need to take a break right now. And I need to go take a walk. I need to get some fresh air. I know when to pull away from my desk, when to decline a ministry receiver, when to take time out. So I am wired that way because people depend on me spiritually, physically. I have to keep in check that. It's when I don't keep it in check, I find that I'm not able to give my best and I'm falling apart. And if I fall apart, that is where I don't have anything. I can't give from an empty cup. And that's the nature of my ministry. I have to be full to give. I can't give and then be depleted. So for me, it's very important. I take it serious, but I did understand what Jada said when she said she's so tired that she can't sleep. It's a real thing. People feel it in their legs. It called restless legs. Is that you're so tired, you can't even sleep. And it's a real thing. The first time I heard it, I said, that can't be true. And one day it happened to me and I said, yo, I'm going on a vacation. I'm going to the beach. I need sun, salt, sand, and sea. I need my vitamin C. So I totally understand what she says, but we have to know when to pull away.
Thank you for sharing that, because people always see me as a bad guy. I'm telling you, I like to sleep and I love sleeping, and at a certain time my phone, especially if you have an iPhone, you have your sleep app and nobody can reach you after a certain time unless they're an exception. Yes, I'm not a bad guy, but that's just how body functions. I want to ask Kedrine, what are your thoughts on networking? I know persons always say that you need to meet the right people, you have to have the right links so you can, flourish in seasons. But what are your thoughts on networking, and is it the number one way to excel in your business?
Could you repeat that last part? Is it the number one
way to excel in your business?
Oh, okay. I think there are many ways to excel in your business. But one thing I definitely learned, especially when I first came to the States to live, was that networking is a big deal. Networking can really connect you to an opportunity like this. Many of us don't realize how much it is that we network, or we're not as we're not as conscious in some of the relationships that we make, because a lot of the times when you start a business and you look around in your circle and you're like, whoa, but I can ask this person, I can ask that person. Lots of the times it's the people that you already know, is the people many times, in marketing, it's whoever here can go and tell the community, can go and tell their co-workers, can go and tell this person and that person. And so, like, networking, it is a very, very huge deal. How you sell yourself, how you sell your brand. A lot of the times when you have friends, which you are in a sense networking with them, a lot of the times when you have friends, say for example, you weren't necessarily being in good character with your friends, or being well with them, or doing great business with them, and just simple things. Whenever it is that it comes on for them to have an opportunity to sell your business, or to say to their friend, hey, I have a wedding coming up, I really need somebody to make some pastries. If you weren't good with them, or if you didn't do well with networking, they're not going to recommend you, even if they're your friends. So with networking, it's a huge deal. How you carry yourself is a huge deal with that whole thing. And you never know, the world is small. The world is small. Alexander said, man, it's so big. I promise you, what I've realized, especially coming to the States, the world is so small, so small. So you never know. It's always important to network. You don't have to always be in everyone's face saying, what do you do? What do you do? Or this or that. No, it will definitely come, but definitely put yourself out there. Come out of your comfort zone a little bit. But you never know. So yeah.
Thank you. And Phelisa, I'm going to ask you a question as it pertains to just being a female CEO. Because one thing that I did read, I think it was on LinkedIn that I saw it, where you were the one of the youngest principals in Jamaica. Kudos to you. We celebrate you on that especially. But what have you faced, or what is it like being a female CEO, and what challenges have you faced?
All right. So being a female CEO, I mean, it's pretty diverse. There are lots of benefits of having a female leader in any organization, and our country, we have come a very far way with that, where women are not just, homemakers, but we are leaders. We're, chairing companies, we're on boards, leading organizations. So in terms of challenges that I faced personally, being a female leader, it's when you step into a room, you have to ensure that you are seen. You have to ensure that the way how you dress, the way how you look, you have to ensure that everything about you says that, hello, I'm here, I'm the boss here, So that's something that we have to really take seriously, especially as females, because there are lots of organizations or a lot of places that literally they will not want to take you seriously. So you have to dominate wherever you go. And for me, I always tell persons that, guess what? You need to show up and show out. I know the person before was speaking about networking, and that's also one important part of being a female boss, a female CEO. You literally have to have persons in your corner who they basically have the same passion, the same mission as you, so that you can even elevate in your circle.
Love that, for real. Even just the fact of showing up and showing out. I love that. It gives me, you need to show up as your authentic self, one, but ensure that you are showing up with excellence. You get what I mean? So it's nothing mediocre. It's nothing, oh, I'm just here for the ride. It is, I'm here and I'm going to leave an impact. So we're going to go back to Joan. Joan, what are some of the challenges that you faced being a female CEO?
The only challenge I've really faced being a female CEO would be that all the men would try to, take advantage of me. But the challenge for me wasn't really being a female. It really came from my age, because I started from when I was 14. So, people think say I joke made a make. But after a while, they started I was serious. And then, people gradually came on board. One of the challenges I faced with my age was that I used to put on plays in my community, and I used to charge like $200, and people say them not pay that, because me just a little pitney trying to do something. So that was really, it didn't really come from, oh, she's a female. I think people um looked up to me because, hey, she's a female and she's young and she's trying.
Thank you so much for sharing. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. I like the fact that you talked about, the impact that you can have on persons indirectly. People now looking up to you because you're a young girl, you're trying and you're impacting the community in a way that some persons wish they could. And I'm happy that you actually realize that as well. So, it gives you even more drive, it gives you even more passion. Miss Jody, what are some of the things you had to learn on the spot, even entering into so many businesses and even being a minister? What are some things you had to learn on the spot?
Simple things such as speaking. The Lord would have to encourage and say, because you feel inadequate, you've never done this, you've never gone to school for public speaking. And the Lord would say to me, Jody, open your mouth and I feel it. And I'm like, Lord Jesus, Omega say, I have nothing pre-written in my head. And the Lord said, open your mouth. And that is how I learned. I learned on the spot. I learned as I was going along. So it is not something that I can say is of myself. It's Holy Spirit training school that taught me how to do that. So I had to learn as I go along, and most of all, do it afraid. Do it afraid, even though I feel like I might be shaking. Just go and be obedient. So obedience triumphs over everything that might be new to me. Most times I'm just thrown out there. People just call me up on the spot. Come and do this. And I'm like, okay, this is a new environment, new territory. And every time I do it, people think I've done it before. And that is because I'm strictly going off the empowerment of the Holy Spirit. Because he said, wherever I am weak, he is strong. So I really give him preeminence. I said, Lord, pray through me, speak through me. So I know that my reliance is not on my ability, intelligence, intellect. Yes, I might have some of that, but that can go through the window with nerves. So I just really lean on him in that moment and say, Holy Spirit, you're going to have to talk through me because Mega said pure foolishness. So that is where I get my empowerment from.
This is sounding like my life. Wow. So Joan, what's one thing that you had to learn on spot as a female CEO as well?
One main thing that I had to learn on spot was to answer questions. You know, people see you, you introduce them to your business, and then them start asking one bag of questions, some questions that you not, something that you didn't even think about. So because you don't want to look stupid, you had to I had to improvise, and I had to learn to answer questions on spot. As much as I hate to answer questions and I hate interviews, I really had to improvise and learn that on spot. Some of the boundaries that I had to establish, well, one main boundary that I had to establish was, well, two. One of them are with males. You have certain males who would come around me and they would offer some assistance, and they would want to get personal. So I would have to set the boundary to say, hey, if you're going to offer your assistance to my production company or to any of my businesses, then you're offering that assistance to my business and not for the other things. So if a business, and if it's personal, it's personal. I had to set that boundary with friends as well. you know I had to say, hey, if you and I are friends and you're going to be a part of my business, you have to understand that when it's business time, it's business time, and when it's friend time, it's friend time. You can't come on set, or you can't come in the business area wanting to talk to me about something outside of the business.
I cannot skip over this part. I want to say I'm so happy and I'm so proud that you set your boundaries straight from the get go. Like you made it very, very clear what your boundaries are, what we can do in this time, even to your friends. And that's sometimes something hard for other persons because they're like, they don't want to hurt person's feelings. They don't really want to create a wedge between their friendships or people that they, talk to or they value. But you realize that business is business, and business and pleasure cannot mix. Now that. Jada, what are some of the boundaries you had to establish as a female CEO?
Ooh, some of the boundaries. Okay. As it relates to that now, I realized that sometimes when you start a business, I've heard the same before, but sometimes they say when you start a business, that's when you actually know who are really your friends, who are really your supporters, who are really there for you. Trust me, sometimes some persons, they are, your companions, they are your friends until you actually start something on your own. And it has you questioning, like, all along we were friends, we were besties, and then now, since I want your little support, it's like it's non-existent. So some of the boundaries, definitely, I cannot mix business with pleasure. I can't. I no. Sometimes when I like we go to a store and you will see on they have this big post there, like it would say no credit and those stuff. I didn't understand what it meant until when I actually started a business on my own. And that is when, because I'm a very friendly person, and I believe that sometimes persons would use that as an advantage. So they'll be like, yeah, man, should me and Jada, a big friend, man. She'll give me one discount and she would do this, she'll give me this. No, they do not understand that. They don't understand that. And when you even ask them to do simple things for you, like to repost, it's like they really do not want to do it. So definitely, I don't mix business with pleasure. Yes, you are my friend. Yes, we talk, but really and truly, as a friend, you should also be supportive. And it not really goes to friend alone. You have family members who are like that as well. And then sometimes I saw a post on the internet and it really saddens my heart because they're saying that sometimes it's the strangers are your biggest supporters. And it really doesn't have to be like that. Because as a family, bloodline, you expect them to be there for you, and really and truly they're not. So really and truly, it does make sense when they say that the strangers are your biggest supporters. But that doesn't mean that you should, fan our family and fan our friends. They're still going to be there because sometimes you do need little competition. You do need little something to say, yo, you need to do better. You need to continue. So definitely, I have to just do things for myself. I know the purpose. I know the aim. I know what I want. So because we're friends or you're the close family or even far family, that doesn't mean or give you an advantage to say that, oh, you can get such and such benefits. So I don't see it like that. Maybe other person see it like that, but I definitely don't see it so. I don't see it so. So basically that's one of the biggest boundaries. Not because yes, and because I'm so short and I'm nice and I'm cute and I'm this person is going to come and say, oh yeah, man, she give me one little discount. No. That is when I flip. And that's when I said, okay, no, you're not serious. You're only here for me and you're not here to support my mission. So once you're not here to support my mission, I'm sorry. You're bye-bye. So that's one of the biggest boundaries.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Jada, for sharing that. I'm sure all of us can relate to the whole discount and family friend. This is too common. But Miss Jody, I know we mentioned marketing previously, and or Jada mentioned it. I don't remember who exactly, but somebody mentioned marketing previously. You believing that people would come to your business. You don't have to put yourself out there, and that we know that's not how it works. But it looks like Kedrine fell off. But my question to you really is, what are your thoughts on investing in your own self? Not just on taking care and getting rest and stuff, but actually investing in your business. What does that look like? You mentioned advisors, getting persons to govern you. How else can you invest in yourself even if you don't have an advisor?
Yes, so there's so many platforms now that offer well-being, sewing into your own self, investing into yourself. So you will have all these workshops. I believe in workshops. You need to be encouraged and you pay for these things. A lot of people want to do this, look for all the free stuff. That's fine, but most of the value that you get is sometimes where you have to pay for a workshop and whatever sacrifices that you have to make sure that you're being filled with the knowledge, being equipped, strengthening your skills, some of the tools that you will need. So for lack of knowledge, my people perish. You can perish financially, you can go into poverty because you never knew how to run the business properly. You have to keep on top of the area that you're dominating. It's always evolving. Things are changing all the time. Like in the industry that I am in with the makeup artistry, there are different things. Makeup is evolving, beauty is evolving. You have to keep going back to school. You have to keep doing the workshops and you have to pay for it. Surrounding yourself with other people who are already in the business. And as I said, people who are doing it for a longer time are seeing great results. Surround yourself with those people that you can sharpen your mind, entertain conversation, investing in yourself financially is so important. It's rewarding. You're gonna see the benefits. People are afraid to use the money that they make right now. Customer service in Jamaica, we're not trained. We're not trained enough for that. And I think it would make a big difference. People like to, support any business that have good service. So that is something we should invest in with our company. The people who represent us should have excellent customer service. So investing in yourself is really great. Adding to that, the Bible did say 2 is better than 1, and iron sharpens iron. So the one-man show, as we spoke about, doesn't really work long-term as your business expand. So as your business grow, we must, be mindful that we need the help and get the help where it's necessary. I did want to provide the scripture that talks about not begging down people for bargain. It's not biblical. And the Bible in Proverbs 20:14-24 speaks against this. And I want to assure persons that everything business-wise is biblical. Ecclesiastes 4:9-12 talks about, having more than one person do something, that it is a greater reward. But when you have the support, know that when you're investing in your business and investing in yourself, it is not in vain. And as we spoke about earlier, that if you do keep at it, if God told you to do it and you keep persevering through it, you will eventually see the fruit of your labor if you do not give up. That too is also biblical. So if you give up before it is time, you would never have seen what your blood, sweat, and tears would have offered through that time. And lastly, I just want to say to everybody, believe in yourself, cheer yourself on. People notice when you are proud of yourself. There's nothing negative about being proud of yourself. I evaluate myself every end of the year to see how I did, and I must find the good triumphing over the losses. If there's any loss, there must be some wins in that, and my win is going to triumph over my loss. There is an evaluation that I would do with myself. How can I improve? And I believe in introspection, retrospection, getting good advice. And that is something that will keep you working towards a goal and being a better person. But understand your seasons. There will be seasons of ups and downs. Discern the season that you're in and get the tools that you need to get better. But that is what I wanted to say today.
Thank you so much, Miss Jody. And all that you've said, I'm sure we have taken notes and everything. If Miss Jody does pop out, she does have to leave, but we do thank her for her time. It is well appreciated. I'm telling you, even I got some gems and I'm going to write it down. Kedrine, being in the business for a while now, what are some of the financial practices basically that you would tell persons to do? We're just talking about investing in ourselves, and Ms. Jody did mention investing financially, going to workshops, but what are some specific financial practices that you'd advise people to do?
So I'll definitely say save. Definitely save in whatever money that you get, whatever. Always save, always have a little thing stored up, because you never know what can happen. As a faith-based person and for faith-based people, just in general, tithe. Definitely give God what is unto God. Tithe is your offering. It is He that gives you the strength to do and to be. And trust me, he does tell you what happens in Malachi. He tells you what happens when you tithe, and you're not just tithing to get. You definitely need to do that with a willing heart. So do some heart checks and some heart searches there. I do have to leave also, but I definitely want to say save, tithe, and depending on your company, you will definitely need extra emergency money. So what I mean by that is, I was doing a baking business, a baking company, and it is quite expensive. I gained a whole new respect for people who are in restaurants and businesses, because if a product doesn't work, if you bought the wrong type of eggs, if you forgot this, if you forget that, if something didn't work in the assembly line, sometimes you have to start from scratch, and sometimes you don't have that money or you don't have those resources. And so you definitely want to budget for that, budget for trying new things. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to add a new flavor, right? I have to buy those stuff and say it doesn't work out. You might think, oh, it's wasted, but to be honest, you tried it. So you definitely want to, do that. But at the end of the day, budget, give it to God, give to God, give to yourself, and you should be definitely well off for sure.
Thank you so much for sharing. So, Phelisa, what we talked about, and you mentioned that you were a teacher.
Yeah.
So, what did balance look like when you were a teacher and having a side hustle, which was tutoring? How did that look?
So balancing really, I mean, in my vocabulary, there's nothing as balance. You just have to be intentional about what you want, so you know that this is something that you're gonna do in the day. It's my passion. I enjoy doing it. But at the same time, I was tutoring on the side. So I had to make time for that as well. And then, I mean, I had to make time for my family, my friends as well. So it wasn't always easy, but I was always intentional about how I spend my time. I procrastinate a lot. So I just have to be intentional and say, all right, this is important. This is urgent. What is important and urgent? What is important but not urgent? And that's kind of how I manage my time.
So you said you procrastinate. So since you can relate to such thing, what would you say to persons who are finding it very hard? They're finding it that they're not being productive. They're putting off things a lot, but they still have the passion, the drive, the ambition to do what they want to do. What would you say to them?
All right. So I'm on my journey to purge procrastination. Trust me, it is not easy because it's fun. I love the pressure of doing work last minute. Right. It's just a trigger that I enjoy it. Right. So in order to not have too much of that, because then it can be risky because anything can happen at the last minute, you have to set out your task and prioritize again. And as you get a new project, a new task, you have to start doing a little work on it at that point that you get it, right? So even if, let's say, it's not due until 2 weeks, don't tell yourself that you have 2 weeks. Do a little work on it now, do a little tomorrow, and basically pull apart the task instead of just waiting until the night before to say, all right, I'm gonna do everything like a superhero.
Pull apart the task. I like that because I think I even realize with myself that sometimes it's not that I don't want to do it, but it is that it feels too much. So it feels like I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do yet, and it's like you have to break them down into steps. So love that advice for real. Joe, I know I asked this question already to somebody else, but I also want to ask you, what would you say to someone who may be discouraged because they don't think they're receiving the support that they expect?
What I would say to that person is never lose hope. Never lose your motivation. I mean, this is just a part of it. You're going to lose friends, you're going to lose family, but the best thing is that you're going to earn some persons that you will never lose. You're going to earn some persons, some strangers are going to come into your life, and they're going to support you, and they're going to give you the best support yet. Yes, the people and way things they're going to support you, then probably not support you, but believe me, better go come.
And guys, we're just kind of closing down the curtains. It has been a lot, but so many gems, so much value, honestly, so much value. And I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, panelists, for being here. Thank you, audience, for being here. Honestly, your time has been really appreciated. We honestly felt the love. We felt the bonding. Like, y'all don't even imagine, even before I came on here, how these people were bonding. I'm just like, okay. But thank you guys so much for doing this. I'm sure persons have garnered a lot of information and they're just going to run with it. They're going to run with it and start their business and be very inspired and help other persons. So again, thank you guys. Thank you for attending webinar 2022. Let's talk. Look out for next year's webinar. It's gonna be bigger and better. I keep saying this, and guys, you can see that it's getting bigger and better. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye. I will do this for all my videos. Bye.